presenters today. And I am co-founder of one of the organizations called Infivia, and we specialize in immersive technologies, solutions for enterprises. So that's like a brief background about me. I'll talk more about myself and share more details around what we do and today's topic as well. But I would love to understand the batch here. I'm sure you guys might have had several sessions together, and you all might have got an opportunity to discuss with each other. So if somebody can just take a lead and share me more about the batch, people in the batch, the background about few of the participants over here, and maybe something like what all geographies they come from and so on. So would love to know that, so that I can also try to tweak my presentation and share information as per that. So anybody, please feel free to take a lead and introduce the badge and yourself.
Okay, everybody's silent, so might be I could help on this. Okay. Hi.
That would be great.
Yeah, that's fine. So this is Jansi. Okay, so we are from the DBA cohort 10, slot 2, the afternoon batch. So this is our we already got a 10 plus sessions. So this is our 11th session, I hope so. So we got a very beginning introduction about the program. Then after that, we got almost many topics covered, like IoT and blockchain and even cloud computing, X computing, and high performance computing. So these are the various topics so far covered. And the last session was done by one of the professor of RPA, robotic process automation, and we also got simple hands-on. So very interesting sessions. About the participants here, of course, we are in multi-geographic. So many of them from India, Singapore, and Germany. So for example, I'm from Germany, and also we have participants from US also, I hope so. Yeah. And we are from many industries also, like I know Sam from healthcare, and also, yes, and some of them are technical and some of them are not technical. So we are a balanced group. Happy to learn more and apply the knowledge to the society. Thank you.
Sure, Janshree. So thanks a lot for giving that background and giving me that context. So what I would try to do is I would try to keep the session not too much of a technical in the interest of the audience, but in case if there are some very super technical questions or something, I can probably take them later. And I have also reserved few slides for them for those slides. So would love to share my knowledge and experience. Also, good morning to all the people who are in the other part of the world. Good evening. So what I'll do is I'll start my session. I'll quickly share my screen. Okay. So today's session will be mostly about emerging technologies, and in emerging technologies, I'll mostly try to cover immersive technologies. So immersive technologies like augmented reality, virtual reality, metaverse, these kinds of technologies. But like I mentioned, like today, AI is like getting integrated in all kinds of technologies, be it robotics, IoT, and so on. So there will be a lot of flavor of AI as well, which I've tried to cover in the session. So with that, I'll quickly share my background. So I come from basically design background myself. So I've worked with uh, Microsoft as well in past. I've led different products from design point of view. Say for example, phone related application designs, Kinect, smart televisions, and of course enterprise heavy applications and solutions. After that, I have also ran a interaction design studio which which was acquired. It was called as Out of Box Interactions, and we used to build a lot of customer experience solution for different industries. And like I mentioned, right now I run a company called InfiVR, where we specialize in building XR-based solutions for enterprises for solving a few of the very core problems which large enterprises, especially enterprises who are into heavy engineering, manufacturing, and then these kinds of companies. So about the session today. So in the session, I'll try to cover. I'll start with basics. I'll try to cover a lot of basics about these emerging technologies, immersive technologies. Also, how it all started very briefly. The session will have a lot of interesting use cases, practical use cases, which we have worked on, where we have first-hand experience of how these solutions have been beneficial to different organizations. Apart from this, these case studies and these will not be in just form of slides and stats and all. I've tried to add a lot of videos and interactive virtual demonstrations which will help you all get a better understanding of what these solutions are, because these solutions are a lot more experiential as well. And Towards the end of the session, I've kept few slides where I'll be talking about the different tools and platforms which can be used to build these solutions. Yep. And yeah, a lot of AI stuff as well, where how these technologies along with AI have taken the whole ROI and the experience to a next level. So these are few things which I'll be sharing and covering in this topic. So I'll start with basics first. And I'm starting with basics first is a lot of organizations, a lot of senior management, when they come to us with some requirements or initial conversations, there is a lot of confusion between what is virtual reality, what is augmented reality, what are these immersive technologies, and so that is specifically the reason why we educate. What these technologies are, how they are different from each other, what are its advantages, disadvantages, and so on. So let's start with basics. So what is virtual reality and what is augmented reality? So virtual reality is something, but in a simple, way, what I can explain you guys is you wear something like a headset, and then using this headset, you are teleported or taken to a different environment or a different place altogether, which is completely different from the real space where you are. So, and then you can get a lot of digital, information in form of games, in form of visuals, in form of 3D content. It could be anything. So that is nothing but virtual reality. So virtual reality is something which teleports you to a different place altogether and completely disconnects you from the real environment where you are. So that is virtual reality. So augmented reality. So augmented reality is nothing but, if you see over here, so you are holding a small tablet or phone in your hand, and then there is a live camera feed which is coming from the background. And then when there is a live camera feed coming from the background, on top of that camera feed, you can see a lot of digital content overlaid on top of it. So if you see this example, so there is a room, there is a live camera feed of the room, and then on top of it is a digital content, which is a duckling again, which was here in virtual reality, but this time it is overlaid on top of the live camera feed. So this is nothing but augmented reality. And in augmented reality, digital content is just there, visible, and that's it. You can't do too much about it. It just provides you some additional information on top of the live camera feeds or the live feed or the real environment where you are. So that is nothing but virtual reality and augmented reality. So I'll go to another slide, next slide. So I'm sure you all would have heard a lot of other terms as well. Say, for example, extended reality, mixed reality, metaverse, and a lot of other similar terms. So let me try to explain you all those terms as well. So, say for example, this is augmented reality and this is mixed reality. So, if you observe this image or this visual in detail, so what you would understand is mixed reality is a little smarter version or little intelligent version of augmented reality itself. So, if you see in mixed reality, also just like augmented reality, there is a live camera feed or a live environment or a real environment which is visible to you, but now the application has become smarter. So it can recognize the floor, it can recognize things, say for example, table. It can recognize depth. So for example, it also recognizes that this table is in front of the duckling and duckling should be kept behind it, and so on. And there are a lot more other aspects also. Say for example, um, say over here duckling is floating, but here there is a physics which is also replicated, hence the duckling is sitting on the floor and not just floating, and so on. So in another way, augmented reality, mixed reality is a smarter version of or little intelligent version of augmented reality. And I'm sure you all might have also have heard terms like XR is nothing but extended reality. When you put these kinds of immersive technologies and different kind of reality based technologies together, so they all are put together called as extended reality. So I hope with these small examples, simple examples, I was able to explain what is virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality, because these are technologies based on which a lot of next things which will come up. And based on these capabilities, it is very important that the problem and the use case which you are trying to address also depends a lot, how beneficial or how successful would you be in solving those problems for those use case in reality. So I see a hand. Yeah, Nimish, please go ahead. Nimish, you have
Hi,
some question?
yes, hi Atish.
Uh,
I wanted to check, like, can you give us an example of XR, like extended reality?
so Nimish, all this is XR. So when these kinds of technologies are used, they are
Mm-hmm.
nowadays called as extended reality, because see, because what happened is 3-4 years back, what used to happen is there used to be a device which is virtual reality only, and there was no device which had virtual reality as well as mixed reality. Whereas 4 years back, again, there was a device called Microsoft HoloLens and Magic Leap.
Mm-hmm.
They enabled mixed reality only, and they could not enable virtual reality at that time. But nowadays, what is happening is the new devices which are coming up, they are having capabilities of virtual reality as well as mixed reality. And hence, they all together they are called as extended reality devices. And that is specifically the reason Google came up with, Google came along with Samsung, and they launched a device called as XR. And hence, it is altogether called as extended reality. Does that make sense? Does it answer?
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, Rama.
Can we have an example of each that would really help us connect the dots? For example, where is VR used, AR used, so that the real time example, please.
Yes, Rama. So you will have to give me some time. The next slides are all about these use cases and examples.
Sure.
Okay. Uh, yes, Chandrasekhar.
Professor, when you talk about immersive technology, what falls under the ambit of immersive technologies? Just if you when you
Okay. So see, basically, I'll try to share based on my experience, and I have worked in these immersive technologies since more than 20 years now, and also my education was something like interaction design, which was immersive technology. So my definition of immersive technology is something like a technology which tries to immerse you uh, in digital content, or it takes you to next level uh, uh, when it helps you get engrossed in in doing certain tasks or addressing certain use cases, or uh, and you start getting engrossed in the digital content or digital environment, or digital solutions or digital applications. So just to share a few examples, so virtual reality is one, augmented reality is another. Then there are large screen based setups. So for example, you have all three walls which are like projected, or all these screens are something like they behave it in such a way that they worked in tandem, and you feel that you are in that particular space. Or for that matter, you can take an example of planetarium. So you go inside, you are completely immersed in that space kind of an environment, because of the dome kind of a feel, or the design of the whole projections and content which you see. So my definition is all these kinds of technologies which tries to take you to next level in form of immersion are called immersive technologies. Does that answer?
it does. Would a 3D movie qualify for an immersive technology?
To an extent, yes.
Okay.
That also tries to immerse you. Just that you don't have 5 screens now around you. You have a small spectacles which tries to give you a third level of depth and immersion.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll proceed. So this is a new interest, basically an interesting activity which I have kept over here. So this activity is just to judge myself whether I have been able to convey my learnings and understanding to you guys correctly or not. So yeah. So I have few examples over here, and these screenshots are from some of the very famous Hollywood movies, and they are inspired by these technologies in different ways. So I would ideally want help from you guys to identify which is virtual reality, which is augmented reality, and which is mixed reality. So let's start with the first one. So any guesses what this could be?
Virtual reality.
Um, So yes, Argrat, so you are pretty correct, but can you explain me why?
It's not real because there are no real elements in it. It's all digital.
Correct. So basically what is happening over here is this is from a very famous movie which is Ready Player One. And in this what happens is the characters of the movie, they actually wear these VR headsets and some VR some very futuristic VR suit, and they teleport themselves into this virtual environment for some gaming and game coins collections and so on. So this is an example of virtual reality. So let's go to visual number 2. Any guesses here? Would anyone like to take a guess?
I'm giving someone else a chance. Nimesh said AR.
Okay. Any other guesses?
Check the chat. Lots of people in the chat saying AR.
Oh, okay. Sorry, since I'm also presenting at the same time, I'm not checking. Okay, so this is mixed reality, because if you see over here, this is the digital content. Now this digital content is intelligent. It also recognizes there is a table in front of the user, and the user is also able to control the digital content and see a lot of information on top of it, do some manipulations and so on. And hence this is an example of mixed reality. Is it clear to everybody? Okay, so so now my chat box is also open, so I'll be able to see answers. So let's any guesses for number 3?
I'm gonna go with augmented.
Okay. Would you like to explain that?
I am guessing that this is one of those movies where somebody's in a suit
Uh-huh.
and they are looking at reality, but with stats layered on top of it. So I'm guessing that's why I'm saying this is augmented.
Correct. Absolutely. So this is again from movie Iron Man. And in this, what happens is the person is wearing of course, Iron Man is wearing his suit and helmet. But in the helmet, he has got this intelligent vision, which is augmented reality enabled vision, which is getting, and all these objects are getting tracked, and they are showing some additional information on top of it, this digital content on top of it, and hence this is pure augmented reality. So let's take this visual number 4. Any guesses? Okay, so Nimish is writing mixed reality. Okay, mixed reality. Oh, yes, absolutely. So this is mixed reality. Again, you see a digital content in front of you. The user is able to interact with it. Also, the digital content is like very intelligent. It is there on the floor, and the user can interact with it and manipulate it and do designs and so on. Okay, so let's take this visual number 7. Any guesses? Visual number 7.
I'm gonna go with VR. I mean AR. Well, no, it's MR. Sorry. Because I don't know the movie, so I don't know what the storyline is, but I'm assuming that the person is real. So that's why I'm gonna go with MR.
Okay. So I think you gave me an idea that probably instead of visuals, I should use a clip of that movie. Probably that will give more clarity, and I'll update my slide for the next presentation again. But I would just like to give a context over here. This is an augmented reality. Basically, it's from a movie Terminator, and in Terminator, what happens is the person is there. He is coming in front of this person for the first time, and then he is just getting an overlaid information on top of it about this person, what it is, what's his identity, and some information and all those things. So this is a pure example of augmented reality because it is just digital content and digital information overlaid on top of the real live feed or live environment. Okay, so this last one, I think last one should be easy.
I think same as number 1.
Yes, it's almost same as number 1 because it's again from movie Tron. And again in this movie, what happens is the characters of the movie, they get teleported inside the gaming console, and they are now competing and trying to achieve certain objectives. So it's like complete immersion, and they are totally disconnected from the real environment, and hence it's virtual reality. So yeah. So okay. So with this, I also the whole intent over here was not just to make out difference between what virtual reality is, what augmented reality is, but it also enables different kinds of use cases. So for example, if you see over here in the first one and the eighth one, gaming is one of the use cases. So in this one, you see a lot of digital, design review, digital information consumption, infographics, which can be shown leveraging virtual reality. So here the person is doing designing of some equipment or some core engineering products. So that is another use case. So in this one, if you see, it's a pure fighter aircraft, and in the fighter aircraft is tracking an object and so on. So that is an augmented reality based application. So here this is for something like a use case where police can wear smart glasses for smart surveillance and so on. So these are different kinds of use cases which can be enabled through these technologies. Okay, so what I'll do is let's go to next part of the slide presentation, which is, now that we have understood what is augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, and extended reality, there are a lot of other terms as well, which are there in the market. So which probably y'all might have also heard of. So metaverse. So metaverse is nothing but it is a term which is coined by Meta. When Meta came up with their VR headsets, and they wanted these kinds of new ways of collaborating, new ways of socializing, and so on. So if you see over here, metaverse is nothing but it's a virtual reality again. But in this, what happens is there are avatars of different people who have come together in a collaborative environment, and they are doing some work in virtual reality. So now in this case, they are doing some design meetings, but it could be, the purpose could be different. It could be, say, for example, design reviews. It could be for playing games. It could be for just viewing presentations together. It could be for watching match together, which is going around, and so on. So Meta actually coined their virtual reality based solutions as metaverse. So it also went along with their brand name and so on, and so that is one of the terms which is very prominently or used in the market. Then there is something called as spatial computing. When Apple launched their Apple Vision Pro, so if you see over here, Apple Vision Pro, so it has capabilities like virtual reality as well as mixed reality. So in this visual represents this person, the user, using and consuming digital content in a mixed reality environment. So for example, this is a room. She has opened up different applications, different pages, and she is doing her work. So this is nothing but mixed reality, but Apple called it as spatial computing. And then Google came up with their own terminology, which they called as immersive computing. So basically, these are nothing but in a way, virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality based solutions only. Just that their terminologies, they coined it in different way, which goes along with their branding or for some typical branding goals which they wanted to achieve. Okay, so let's move on to next slide, which is just some background around how virtual reality started. So virtual reality is not something which is like a completely new technology. So this concept was there since 1950s and 60s, and people use this technology for some very niche applications. So for example, military and space. So there were these applications of virtual reality which were there since quite some time. But if you see the devices, the hardware, they were pretty bulky in nature, and they were not suitable so that they could become consumerish. They were a lot expensive as well. So now with miniaturization and so on, and reduction in costs of hardware, all these technologies, it was possible to get them into consumerish kinds of application. So okay, so moving to next slide. So today virtual reality is used at different places for different applications. So this is just stat which I put over here for some basic understanding. So gaming and entertainment has one of the largest applications when it especially for virtual reality. Corporate trainings and educational related use cases are very prominently used. Basically, they are leveraging virtual reality. Um, Design related use cases, especially in retail and real estate kinds of industry. Um, Manufacturing, heavy engineering, again they have very good different kinds of use cases. Say for example, training uh, for operations, inspections, and so on. And I'll be talking more about these use cases as well as we proceed. Uh, Healthcare and medical. So although it is relatively low as per this chart over here, but what I've seen personally in the last 2 years, uh, these use cases are gaining a very good traction. Say for example, medical related therapy related applications and therapy related use cases are gaining a lot of traction. So these therapies could be wellness related therapies, or some very core therapies. Say for example, while patients are undergoing chemotherapy, or applications like physiotherapy, which have now started happening leveraging virtual reality. So healthcare and medical applications, especially in the therapy space, have gained a lot of tractions in past couple of years. So okay, so going further, so some details on what are different kinds of hardwares which enable virtual reality. So virtual reality is possible through different hardwares. Like say for example, this is as simple as you take your phone, you put it into these boxes which are called as VR boxes, and it gives you a limited form of virtual reality experience. So then there are these virtual reality based headsets which are like very popular. So these are like the best devices if you want to experience VR, or if you want to build some really affordable solutions in VR. So these are like portable devices. They are very light in nature. It can be used for 30-40 minutes at a stretch, and so on. And there are these another set of devices which are like very high definition devices, but they need a computer to get power those devices. Also, they are like wired. But at same time, these devices have some very niche applications. Say, for example, defense, or some surgery related trainings, and so on. Okay, so let's start with augmented reality. So just like virtual reality, augmented reality also had some. Again, augmented reality is not something which is very new. So there were few core niche applications uh, since 1960s and 1990s, where augmented reality was leveraged for military applications, defense applications, and some very core applications. Also, augmented reality it has been always, one of the favorite concepts and, technology. Basically, wherever futuristic things were supposed to be shown, those movies, and Hollywood has leveraged this thing extensively. So that there has been, so these things have been there since quite some time. But in present days, augmented reality is used again in different industries for different purposes and use cases. Again, gaming is like very popular, AR use case, followed by industrial and manufacturing industries, which are leveraging augmented reality for a lot of real-time assistance and digitization of their on-field or operations. A lot of other things which happen in the industry when they are on the shop floor and so on. So which I'll be talking about. So also, if you see, automotive industry is also starting to pick up. So if you see this particular screenshot is nothing but nowadays there are high-end cars, not just high-end cars, but nowadays even luxury cars, or mid luxury cars have started come up with these kinds of overhead displays, which actually project different information like navigation, speed, some obstructions which are coming and things like that onto the windshield. These are like getting very, very popular nowadays, and almost a lot of new high-end cars which are being launched have these features. So this is another application of augmented reality. So apart from this, there are few applications which are in for retail. So, for example, showcasing of the product in an interesting way through augmented reality. You just place the product in front of your device. It plays more information about it and so on. And then IKEA has extensively used it and helping it. They are being leveraging this to increase their conversions. So you can see different SKUs in their home, in your home, or different places where you want to fit and how it looks and so on. So apart from this, there are industrial applications of augmented reality. If you see, so in this one of the screenshot where you see, this is a remote troubleshooting where a senior technician is leveraging, where a junior technician is actually leveraging expertise of senior technicians remotely. They are able to resolve certain things. So that is one. Apart from this, let's say a machine is not working. Now the person wants to see what do I connect, what do I disconnect, and so on. So the application intelligently shows what do you have to do in a augmented reality information. So these are like another industrial use cases which are very popular and used by some of the large organizations for some of the very sophisticated places where these kinds of sophisticated applications are needed. So I'll talk more about it. So few devices which enable augmented reality. Of course, phone is one of the very popular and very easily available device which enables augmented reality. It's handy, it's easy to use, but at same time immersion is little restricted. Then there are devices like HoloLens. So if you see over here, the person is wearing headset, he's on the shop floor, but on the shop floor he is able to place this new piece of equipment which he wants to keep it, and then he can visualize, if I keep this particular equipment like this, how will the whole assembly line or production line impact? What are the different pieces of equipment I need to place along with it and things like that. So that is another kind of device. This is little high-end mixed reality and augmented reality device. And then there are very simple devices like spectacles and smart glasses, which enable augmented reality and which are now getting really popular. So these are like little less expensive, but at same time they are user friendly, and a lot of use cases are being enabled for consumer-ish application as well as for industrial applications. Yes, Rama, please.
Sure. In picture 2, he's on the floor, he's seeing the images and he's getting a description of those, but he's also interacting with it. So will it be an AR or an MR?
Yes, Rama. So this is a pure example of MR because augmented reality is like smarter version of mixed reality is a smarter version of augmented reality. So I have placed it in this category.
Got it. So it's an MR. Makes sense.
Yes. Okay, so let's proceed. So these are few of the other hardwares and platforms which are there in the market, and they are really popular. So for example, HTC, Quest, Apple Vision Pro, Magic Leap, and so on. And not just that, these VR is also used with hardware-based simulators a lot. So for example, it is being used over here with driving simulators. For here, it is used for some cycling or surfing like gaming. But again, when you go in industry, it is used with forklift simulators, locomotive simulators, flight simulators. A lot of such applications are there, which are part of this kind of platforms and hardwares and so on. So these are few slides which I've taken borrowed from my company slides. This is just to give you all some breadth of experience which comes. So we work with more than 75 plus global customers. 225K plus users are actively using the solution AR, VR, MR, and these kinds of immersive technology solutions which we have built. Over the past 6-7 years, we have built close to around 75,000 plus minutes of AR, VR content now, and a lot of safety related applications for defense related applications and so on. So okay, so I'll skip this part. So we have built applications for different industries, be it aerospace, aviation, healthcare, pharma, defense, automobiles, life sciences, wellness kinds of applications, oil and gas, energy, and so on. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to show a few of them in detail and show a few of them in very brief manner so that I can cover a lot of maximum things within the available time. Okay. So let's start with virtual reality. So virtual reality can be used in a lot of use cases, especially in industry. And so now the later part of my presentation will be mostly enterprise heavy, because that is where we have a lot of experience and where we have a lot of learning as well. So what I'll do is so based on those experiences, I've created these slides. So based on our experience, what we feel is these are 5 main criterias where any use case can become successful or useful if you leverage virtual reality. Okay. So first criteria is real life training, which is risky or dangerous. So for example, fire safety kinds of training, which is like very basic, which all organizations do. Heavy machinery, emergency response kinds of trainings, which are required by medical personnel and so on. So another criteria is, say for example, in scenarios where equipments are very, very expensive, or equipments or spaces are like very remote and they are hard to access. So again, few examples over here, like, let's say take an example of an aircraft. So aircraft is very expensive, but let's say if you just reserve one aircraft for just training purpose is like, too much of a money spent for just training. But now same kind of training you can provide through virtual reality based experiences, where the trainee can see the aircraft right in front of him and do a lot of learning in that particular immersive medium. So let's take another example. So let's say if some person wants to get trained for offshore facility. So now offshore facility is remote. It's very expensive to take the candidate or a trainee to that particular facility. It's also a lot of time consuming. So these are like places where virtual reality can be a lot more interesting as well as impactful. Say for example, another criteria is where you need a lot of focus and immersion. Say for example, so these use cases are again from take an example of meditation or wellness kinds of scenarios where you have to completely distract yourself from rest of the world. So these kinds of use cases are very much achievable through virtual reality and can produce very good results. So another criteria is there is a lot of repeated training or repetitive kind of activity based trainings which need to be done. So for this, you don't need to conduct sessions again and again, same sessions again and again. It's like repetitive and so on. But people can just leverage these virtual reality based applications either on their headsets or either through their laptops, and can take their trainings and get that kind of a training leveraging digital mediums. So last criteria is where you need experience, where you need to experience space or movements. So take an example of the shop floor, and where the person actually placed the equipment, and he wants to see how will my equipment look in this particular space, how do I lay out my equipment in tandem with other equipments, and how do I design them and things like that. So those are the kinds of use cases which fall and fit this particular criteria, and it can be very much useful and beneficial. So these are few criteria based on our experience, where if you apply it to where when use cases fit into these kind of criteria, virtual reality definitely can be very beneficial and impactful. So with this, what I would do is I would basically do a less talking and show you all more interesting things. So this is one of the use cases which we had implemented for some organizations specifically for training. So these are like trailer videos, but the whole solution and the whole content is a lot bigger. But just to give you all a flavor and idea of these things, I'm showing this smaller version of those videos. So I'll play this out for you all. Please have a look at it.
Welcome to Process Heaters Virtual Reality Training. The module lets us understand and learn various aspects of the heaters. To begin, we will learn personal protective equipment that you should wear. Then we will identify important components of the heater. Safety aspects that you should follow while entering a confined space. followed by an inspection of key components of the heater interiors and exteriors. So let us begin with Process Heater virtual reality training.
So if you all see over here, this heater is a large equipment. It's like 5-story big equipment. And if the person has to be trained for the kind of topics which were shown in this particular training, the whole equipment has to be shut down. And shutting down of this particular equipment itself takes 7 days, 7 to 15 days, because after shutting it, it has to cool down. After cooling, there are a lot of, gases which are not appropriate. They have to go away, and a lot of other such things. So imagine if you put in so much of time and resources so that is like huge expense for training, for giving such trainings. But let's say take an example of virtual reality. A lot of things can be very easily done through virtual reality. Of course, the physical training part of it can't be replaced, but definitely it can be shortened, considerably, and a lot of training can be taken away from physical to virtual through virtual reality medium. Um, so there is a lot of cost saving which happens, time saving which happens. Also, trainees learn things and perform things in a safe environment. Also, a lot more scenarios which can be simulated. Say equipment getting fire or not working properly. What would you do, and all sorts of things. These things are possible in virtual reality, but in real life these things are not possible. So there are a lot of advantages of this. So I'll show you all another such application, but this has a different context altogether.
Welcome to Hot Tap virtual reality training. In this module, let us experience various steps and actions involved in a
I think Rama, you want to say something? Rama Subramanian?
Just a quick question. So on the first one that you presented, the heater one, it was a video, as well as the person watching it was also interacting with it. For example, they were like kind of opening it or kind of selecting the right one. Will it still be a virtual one because it is accepting input from the user?
Yes, Rama. So the whole point is, in virtual reality, you just don't view anything. You also try to interact with different equipments and different things around you as if you would do it in real. So that is one of the biggest advantage of virtual reality.
Then what's the difference between a virtual reality and a mixed reality?
So mixed reality also you can do and interact with the digital content. Only in augmented reality you don't get an opportunity to interact with the digital content. You just view the digital content on top of the real world.
Yeah. So the image that you presented, can it also be called an MR?
This one?
Yes.
No, it can't be called as mixed reality, because here you are completely, say, let's say you are in training room, but while you are in training room, you are teleported to a plant facility where heater is located. So it is virtual reality.
Got it. So for the same example, what would be an MR in case of a heater? I'm just curious so that we could understand the exact difference between.
So in case of MR, it could be something like, let's say you are standing in a real facility over here with a huge ground which is empty, but then you wear your mixed reality headsets, and this heater, it appears right in front of you as a digital content. So that will be a mixed reality.
Got it. So the heater itself is appearing, and then I'm able to perform virtual actions over it. So that will be a mixed reality. Here it's an image of the heater. Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
So I'll share this second example now.
Welcome to Hot Tap virtual reality training. In this module, let us experience various steps and actions involved in a hot tap operation. To begin, we will identify personal protective equipment that you should wear. Understand different tools that will be used while performing the hot tap. As a proponent, you will perform the site preparation activities for the pre-hot tap operation. Then, as a hot tap and stopple operations engineer, you will learn how to connect the hot tap machine to the prepared branch connection, followed by performing the leak test on the entire hot tap assembly. Towards the end of the module, we will experience and perform the actual hot tap operation. So let us begin with hot tap virtual reality training.
So this is another example, but the context over here is a little different, where the trainee is learning more on the operations part of it, how these large equipments are used for doing certain operations, and so on. So I'll share with you guys a couple of more examples and then show you one detailed one as well. So let me play this for you.
Welcome to Transformer Virtual Reality Training. In this module, let us experience and learn various aspects of the Transformer. To begin, we will understand personal protective equipment that you should wear. Then we will identify important components of the Transformer. Followed by identifying various faults occurring and taking corrective measures. Towards the end, we will perform an oil sampling procedure. So let us begin with Transformer Virtual Reality Training.
So this was just a short video, but what I'll do is I'll show this, the real experience of how trainees perform in this and how they get the whole feel of being in that particular place and performing job. And
Welcome to Transformers Virtual Reality Training. We have teleported you to the power substation. Can you begin by locating the Transformer correctly? Incorrect. Incorrect. Please select and try again. Welcome to Transformers Virtual Reality Training. We have teleported you to the power substation. Can you begin by locating the Transformer correctly? Very good. Let's move ahead and try to identify important parts of a Transformer. As a safety precaution, the Transformer should not be in operating mode. We have ensured this for you. We have provided a sectional view of the Transformer. Can you now point and identify the main tank? Incorrect. Correct. Let us now identify the next component. Can you now point out where the winding and core is located? Incorrect. Correct. Let's move ahead. Can you now locate the on-load tap changer? Good job. Can you point out where the cooling radiators are located? Incorrect. Correct. Let us see if you can locate the marshalling kiosk.
so I'll
Which part is surge arrest?
so imagine a trainee is standing on top of
Let
the
us see if you can
transformer and
locate the
trying to
silicon
learn.
gel breather. Very well done. We have now teleported you at the top of the Transformer. You should always use a scaffolding or harness while working on the top of the Transformer for safety precaution. Let's see if you can identify a few parts here. Can you point out which part is surge arresters? Incorrect. Good job. Let's move to the next step. oil leak and crack in bushing. This is not the correct. This marks the correct view at the top of the transformer.
So imagine a new trainee who has to be trained on the transformer. So it's a very risky kind of an environment again. But let's say if the trainee is learning in this environment, he gets used to it, and then if he is taken for a real live kind of a training, that will be much more beneficial and helpful.
Can you identify the last two faults?
Also, since one of the comment was related to interactions and all, so this section will help you all understand how interactivity is rich in virtual reality medium, and you can perform a lot of tasks somewhat in a very similar manner the way you would perform in the real life.
To capture any oil from the sampling valve. Let's see if you can perform the next step. Well done. Let's proceed. What will you do next? Well done. Please perform the next step. Good job. Once you have cleaned the sampling port, what will you do next? Good. How will you now bolt the flange adapter? Well done. Complete the bolting of the flange adapter. Let's see if you can do this. Nicely done. Now that the flange adapter is connected, what is the next step? Let us now see if you can perform the next step correctly. Correct. Let us see if you can again perform the oil collection step correctly. Correct.
Yep. So I'll just pause over here. I think you all might have got a fair idea of how rich the interactions are, and which can be leveraged for a lot of different activities, be it for training or a lot of other use cases as well. So yes, Algrat, so you have something to add or some question?
So, really amazing stuff, by the way. How much scoring or analysis is built into the solution? So, for example, would the users rely on this to help disqualify or qualify folks? Or would somebody need to go back and, yeah, how much metrics is built into it?
So Algrat, so since right now I am focusing on the virtual reality and augmented and these technologies as a medium, but building performance analytics, performance measurement, and so on is very much possible. So in this particular use case also, which I showed, it had a lot of metrics built. So for example, in typical e-learning, what happens is you just have metrics like what score is, whether the person has passed or failed, depending on that particular score. But in this medium, since it is very rich and interactive, what you can do is you can measure each and every step. You can basically monitor each and every step or each and every interaction which the person is doing it correctly. So for example, in case of e-learning, let's take an example of bottle. So you can just ask where will you place the bottle, and then you can give options like option A, option B, option C. But in this case, in virtual reality case, you actually can track whether the person has placed the bottle exactly at that particular equipment or not, and is he holding it correctly at a particular angle, things like that. A lot of such assessment and matrix can be built in for evaluation or for for use at later point in time. And like I mentioned, to what level of detailing you want to do it, it totally depends on the kind of use case which you are trying to address and for the kind of use case which you are trying to build. Does that answer, Algrid?
Yes, it does actually.
Okay.
The information gathering, because that's a lot of detail, I'm guessing that how do you gather the requirements on that? It just seems like the requirements gathering, that's just a simplistic term, but that has to be highly interactive and very intuitive as well. to sort of pick up on all the different things that they're looking for.
Correct. Yes, Alfred. So basically, in this particular use case, in training kind of use cases, it basically depends on the subject experts and the instructors of what all things, what all parameters do they want to evaluate, on what all parameters do they want their end users or trainees to be evaluated on? Is it just the score, or is it the detailed interactions, the detailed protocols which they are following, or their presence, and a lot of other aspects. And this is also possible when we work in tandem with subject experts, instructional designers, and other stakeholders. Hi, Queen. So sorry, I'm not sure if I'm taking your name correctly or not. Please feel free to add.
It's okay. Thank you, Professor. My name is Win, like W-I-N. I think we have seen this VR like in the department stores and so on, but this is maybe the first time I see it in industrial applications. I'm just wondering, like, is it now only apply for a big cost? What is the investment that we're looking at now? So that I think it's just our curiosity. And is it changing how is it changing in the interface with the rising of AI, or it's not like completely different? It's nothing helping at all.
Sure, Queen. So your question is really interesting, and so how expensive these solutions are or these applications are, it totally depends on the kind of use case. It totally depends on the kind of detailing. So let's say if something very, very simple has to be created, it is less expensive. If something is very, very detailed oriented, very lengthy in nature, the cost is on the higher side. Said that, so basically, company like us, what they do is they leverage a lot of libraries which are already built in a form of a platform, and hence what happens is through that we are able to reduce the cost drastically for developing or creating these kinds of solutions and applications. And to answer your last part of question, how is AI helping? AI is helping tremendously. AI is helping at all different stages of developing this content. So let's say you want specking of the whole application to be done, you can leverage AI and cut down your cost by more than half. Let's say you want to build training script documents for these kinds of virtual reality applications, it can cut down your cost by again more than 1/3 or 1/4. So let's say you want to do designing, so 3D assets and all those things which you need to design. Through AI now you can cut down that particular cost and time by more than 50%. So to answer your question, Queen, yes, AI is being leveraged in developing these and creating these applications, and it is tremendously cutting down cost and time, just like it is doing it in other industries as well. So does that answer, Queen?
Yes, thank you. And so what's the cost that we're looking at, like the price range? Are we looking at like thousands or hundreds of thousands, Professor?
So Queen, so basically it starts from thousands of dollars. There are few applications which are readily available as well for a lot of different applications and use cases, which can start as hundreds of dollars as well, starting with basically $100 and so on. And then it can go up to thousands of dollars depending on the content. And then there are few applications and so on which have been $1 million kinds of projects as well. So it totally depends, Queen. But the point over here is leveraging AI and leveraging pre-built libraries and platforms. The cost can be drastically cut down to more than 60% as well, 60 to 70%.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Quinn. So Sam, do you have any question? Yes, Sam.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
That went several slides back, if you can look at the chat. But I want to pick up from what Quinn is trying to get to as to the current cost of VR, okay? Because we in business make decision on the ROI and the trade-off between investing in VR or hiring people to do the training, okay? So we really need to know some level of cost, not a few $100s or a couple of $1,000s. But let's nail down a little bit to the video that you showed us just now, the digital twin simulation for the let's say the power station, okay, or the machinery. How much did it cost your client? How much did it cost?
Okay. So Sam,
$500,000?
No, Sam. So that did
Can you
not
give me a ballpark figure? That's why I think where Quinn wants to know also is like, how much are we talking about really? 100,000, 500,000?
No, Sam. So let's say if you take this just the power station kind of simulation which you saw,
Yeah.
it could range somewhere between $10,000 to maybe $20,000. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's say you want to build a lot of such training around power plants itself, then a lot of cost can be drastically brought down because now you have a lot of setup which is already ready. You just need to keep adding different SOPs into that same environment and that same application.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Thank you
Does
for
that
that.
answer?
Yeah, that answers the last question where Quinn and I were trying to pick up from. Then I'll move you several slides back. You mentioned that 48%, almost half of all the virtual reality revenues is coming from gaming.
Correct.
Right. So what is the catalyst? For example, is it human behavior or is it because of infrastructure? What is the catalyst that would shift VR and AR from your currently consumer gaming novelty to enterprise infrastructure? For example, like schools, like the Ministry of Education, because we still don't see 15-year-old going to their physics classes or their chemistry classes where they have a virtual reality, where they learn when they mix, when they learn about friction, for example, or when they learn about mixing different chemicals to come up with different colors. It's still not penetrating into our education infrastructure, even at the 15-year-old, like a secondary 3 or secondary 4. So what is stopping it? What is the friction that's going on there?
So Sam, let me answer answer your first question.
Yes.
So you mentioned that around 48% is still a consumerish, place where it is dominated. So,
Yes.
so Sam, I'll be very, very frank about this. I have not done thorough market research, but see what is the fact is the MetaQuest and VR devices. All these large companies, they are trying to build these devices specifically for consumer use cases because that is what their biggest market is. And that is one of the reason why they are pushing consumerish use cases a lot. Say, for example, gaming, say, for example, health and wellness. So these are like prominent use cases which specifically Meta and other prominent VR and XR OEMs or hardware players are trying to push. That is one of the reason why consumerish use cases are really high. Okay, so now what industry is doing? Industry is doing these devices which are available for consumerish use cases, and then they are trying to leverage it for enterprise use cases. Correct. So that is where the whole thing is, and that is specifically the reason why consumerish use cases have a lot of market share and industrial use cases have relatively less market share. But said that, the industrial use cases for which these industries are leveraging, they are paying like a million times more than what consumers are paying for consumerish use cases, because the use cases which industries are trying to chase are of very core in nature. Say, for example, so we are working with one of the customers who are into manufacturing of marbles. Okay. So now what happens is they are manufacturing marbles, and they are training their trainees for operating a huge crane which is used in manufacturing these marbles. Okay, so imagine if a trainee does something wrong or something very silly, and even if the manufacturing is stopped for half an hour or let's say 10-15 minutes, it costs them $1 million because of the delay of manufacturing. Okay, so now imagine that whole training or that whole equipment, if it is simulated in a virtual environment through VR, and then even if the cost of developing that simulation is around $1 million, which is played on, let's say, a $500 VR headset, and a trainee is trained, and trainee gets a thorough training, and because of that, even if the downtime of that crane is reduced by 30%, so that is like they are saving close to around $3 to $6 million within a month itself. Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So that is where these things also bring in ROI. And since you also mentioned, in your industry, everything has to be measured through ROI. So downtime, errors, these are few parameters based on which you can easily measure ROI.
Thank you.
Okay. So Alred, Queen, please feel free to add.
Sorry, I will be quick. I just have last question. Sorry, almost forgot. Oh, sorry. So it's the software. Not software, but what I mean is also. So I imagine that when a company would like to have this VR trainings for the company, yeah, the company like the agency company will come up and have their own software, and then it's gonna well, at the end it's gonna be hosted. And it will be transfer ownership to the companies, right? The cup, and then the big cup or the company will pay for subscription, not subscription, but maintenance for the software. That's what I'm thinking, how everything is like
Yes, yes,
progressing,
Queen.
right?
So,
Yeah, thank you.
yes, Queen. So what you said is one of the models. But that thing totally depends on the company who is building these applications and the company who is actually procuring these solutions. So it is a decision which these two companies will take mutually. Let's say if they will transfer all the rights and everything, so that is also okay. Let's say if the company gives in on the basis of subscriptions and yearly fees or something like that, that is also a possibility. So that totally depends on the engagement, the kind of engagement which companies want to get into. So I have seen both these kinds of engagements in the industry, and personally we also work with different companies with these kinds of different kinds of engagements. Okay, so Algrith, question. Yes.
Right. Okay, so what I've heard you say so far is that, well, is that what drives the implementation of VR and these XR technologies is two things. Is the reducing the risk, right, of high losses due to training accidents and things like that. And then it's also the cost of the devices, right? So the question was asked a while ago about education, right?
Mhm.
So I have those two ideas. So there's device costs. So there's so the idea of so the question I want to get at is the human aspect, right?
Mhm.
Where is it still where's the boundary? Where are the aspects of this training where you need to say, okay, beyond this, I really think having a human participate in this training is that physical interaction is actually more important. Where are the factors when you need to decide, okay, no, we really should hire humans to do this live versus using the virtual scenario? Are there any common factors that are used in making that decision that you have found where you would say, no, we think that it's better you use real people for this versus the other way?
So Algrith, so to answer your question, our approach is like we shouldn't and we can't replace human or physical trainings completely. So what we do and what we suggest is partially physical trainings or partially human-led trainings can be digitized. It cannot be completely replaced. So that is what our take is. And how much, that thing totally depend on different parameters, like few criteria which I already in a way mentioned over here. So if things are too risky, too dangerous, so let's try to make use of virtual a lot more compared to physical, but physical should definitely be there. Okay, say same in the case of expensive equipment and hardwares. So let's say you want to train them, again a lot of aspects of physical training can be compressed into virtual ones, but it can't completely replace. So ultimately when the person has to go and operate on a physical machine, he must have actually seen the physical machine. Of course, virtual reality will help him understand the physical machine in a much shorter time compared to he going fresh for the first time onto the physical machine. But these things also depend on the detailing of the whole subject. So let's say if there are a lot of parameters which happen in physical only, so then physical trainings could be, let's say, reduced by 30% only and not more, not beyond that. But in few cases where physical things can be covered in virtual drastically, so in that case then you can reduce the physical training from say 80% to from let's say 100% to completely 80%, and then just leverage 20% of the time for physical training. So that algorithm, so there is no definitive formula to it. Of course we can derive that kind of a formula through some thorough research, but right now I foresee it actually depends on the kind of a subject, the kind of a topic, the kind of requirements, and so on. And on the basis of all these parameters, after understanding things, we try to suggest and accordingly consult the stakeholders. Does that answer?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. So yes, Chandrasekhar, please.
Professor, are you seeing any strong requirements coming through from the financial services space, like the banking industry, especially in the areas of B2B operations, let's say to train customers or even to train the internal banking folks at the desk? Just like to get some insights around it.
So Chandrasekharan, for internal and backend thing, it is not so prominent. But these kinds of emerging technologies, we have seen strong use cases and requirements coming for front end kinds of requirements. Say, for example, a customer executive or customer representatives going and interacting with their customers in their own context, or a customer service agent or a salesperson who are into retail spaces, and they have to tackle certain scenarios like customer is angry, or they are trying to negotiate, or they are asking different kinds of question and scenarios and things like that. So yes, we have seen and we have catered to these kinds of use cases in the past. And so since you have brought up this topic, so I'll be showing this one. So this is one of the use case which we had implemented, where a representative of a mortgage company, he is visiting the home of the customer, and he is going to give some bad news to that customer, because probably he is not able to repay his loans and things like that. So how should he behave? What kind of things he should keep into consideration? How should he interact? Let's say if the customer becomes too emotional, how should he react? And a lot of such things which are not possible in a classroom kind of a setup, we try to replicate it to give a much immersive experiential training. And then these things can also be applicable in BFSI and retail and these kinds of industries.
Got it. So largely it is beneficial when there is a physical asset.
Yes. So again, coming to this particular slide, these criterias have to be, if in the use cases there are these criterias, then virtual reality is very impactful and useful.
Okay.
So in your case, if you mentioned focus and immersion could be one of the criteria, and then spatial experience of being at the home of person, and so that could be another thing. And third thing is, of course, this training is like repetitive, right? Every customer rep has to go through this training. So instructor can actually digitize it and make it repetitive for training. So there are these three elements which you mentioned in the use case which you mentioned.
Got it. Thank you very much.
This slide can be used like a sort of a guide to help you all evaluate. Okay, so I'll move to next slide. So basically, benefits of virtual reality training. Again, there are a lot of different kinds of benefits. So of course, virtual reality and mixed reality and metaverse as a medium is a lot more engaging, immersive. So it is way better in terms of immersion and engagement compared to conventional classroom-based trainings. So in classroom-based trainings, trainee can get distracted. They might be present, but they might be thinking else. But leveraging VR and immersive technologies, the person has to be attentive. He will have to understand the topic and accordingly take actions, and that makes it much more impactful and beneficial. So it also reduces training durations. It also reduces cost in different ways. Say, for example, physical simulators might not be required, or the time for which trainees get trained on physical simulators can be drastically reduced. Large physical setups might not be needed again, because now you can create it virtually in virtual environment and so on. So KPIs of trainees increase drastically because they are engaged and more attentive. They tend to answer more questions correctly compared to conventional trainings and so on, and a lot of cost saving as well. Okay, so this is one of the use case, training. But another interesting use case of virtual reality is onboarding of employees. So onboarding is little different from training. It is not like training. But onboarding is again a task which is repetitive. It is followed by most of the organizations. A lot of a big chunk of onboarding training is a lot repetitive in nature and so on. Again, trainees are brought to conference rooms and seminar rooms, and they are given a lot of presentations and information. So how can we make those things interesting for the new joinees. So that is where onboarding virtual reality can be used and leveraged. So I'll show you all a few videos of how these applications can be built. So I'll show this.
Hi there. You must be our new hire. We're excited to have you here. You'll have to first go to Human Resources, take this visitor pass, then take the stairs and follow the signs to find HR.
Hello, welcome to Human Resources. First thing we need to do is fill in some key forms. Click on each. Great. Now you need to meet your manager. Her name is Ms. Johnson. You can head to her office.
Hi, my name is Ms. Johnson. It's wonderful to meet you. I hope your day is going well so far. We already have a cubicle set up for you. It's just down the hall. Go ahead and find it. Make sure you look at your agenda on your desk.
You may want to take a closer look and try again. Great job. You look like you can use a snack. Find the snack room and help yourself to something. Hey, you're new here. They give us a lot of good stuff to choose from. But keep in mind, our afternoons are usually fairly busy, so I like to choose healthy snacks that keep me at my best. Great choice. That should keep you going. Now, head back to your desk.
Great job. For the remainder of the day, please read through the new employee guides that are located on your desktop. Tomorrow, we'll start your software training.
So if you also over here, so these are like very repetitive things which are to be done during the onboarding sessions. A lot of things can be digitized, leveraging these kinds of interactive onboarding solutions. So this is another example where onboarding sessions have a lot of things like leaders coming and talking about the organization, the mission, say certain teams and their key goals and things which need to be done and so on. So again, I'll play this. It has a different flavor, but like I mentioned, so these are like smaller parts of larger solution. So similarly, this also has a different flavor of onboarding solution, and this has different experience. Just have a look at it.
Hi, I'm welcome to LGDS. You are now part of a big team.
Sharing, giving up, and passions to achieve something. This is why teamwork is the best way to go for a collective success. I want to talk to you today about responsibility.
So if you all notice over here, there are a lot of interesting things in onboarding which can be made much more engaging. Little bit of gamification can be brought in. It can be imparted in a different way altogether, which even new joinees love and enjoy, and also they understand while things being interesting. So there are a lot of advantages of these kinds of onboarding trainings. Again, it can reduce cost by digitizing these kinds of repetitive sessions. Again, just to note over here, we do not suggest that complete physical onboarding or conventional onboarding can be replaced. But what we generally suggest is a lot of repetitive such sessions can be taken off from physical onboarding sessions and can be given in form of a digital fashion. This also reduces a lot of time which is required in documentation and compliances and so on. So, for example, joining letters have to be signed. There are a lot of compliance documents which have to be signed. There are a lot of other documents which have to be submitted by the new joinees. So all those things can become a part of it, and so on. And lastly, it can also improve the whole onboarding experience for the new joinee. So it can help in a lot of different ways. So with that, what we can do is we can take up a small activity over here. So this can also help us to do some brainstorming. So what I have done is I'll just share my screen, and but before that, what I'll do is I am pasting one link in the chat box. So yes, so y'all can open this Excel. Okay, so let's try to do some brainstorming over here. So what y'all can do is y'all can start writing few use cases which come to your mind, which you can leverage and apply in your respective organizations, which can help in digitization or improving that whole process, leveraging virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality technologies. So let's take maybe 10 minutes of time to do this, and maybe once we are done, we would it would be interesting to discuss a few and then share more thoughts on that. So just take maybe 10 minutes of time to do this activity. Very important while thinking about these technologies and their adoption strategy. Okay, so would somebody like to explain any of their use case and how they thought of, implementing it? What was the problem which came to their mind, and how they feel that it could benefit? Would someone like to do that for one of the use case which is written over here? Sam, Queen, Jeff, y'all have mentioned some really good use cases. Would y'all like to explain and share?
Okay, I will speak for my first one, the industrial printer maintenance VR simulation. We in Singapore manufacture inks and we ship them globally. Okay, we also teach our distributors and dealers on how to service the machines. Okay,
Amazing.
yeah, so there may be several brands of machines, printer machines, and all these people are in different time zone. Okay, and they also speak different languages. Yeah, they may speak Spanish or they may speak Latin. In some countries, so it becomes difficult for an English trainer to train them. So I'm thinking of using VR, okay, to train these people how to troubleshoot technical issues, safe cartridge replacement, without risking expensive equipment downtime. And the personas are print technicians, dealers, and distributors.
So amazing, Sam. So this is like a very classic kind of a use case where you are a manufacturer or OEM, and there are thousands of dealers whom you want to train, and generally conducting some training programs is a lot more expensive. Physical training programs, calling
Yes.
them to training centers. It involves a lot of travel and costs associated
Yes.
with it, and so on. And so this can be very well implemented. In fact, we also worked with few of the large automotive giants or brands who face similar problems. Say, for example, they of course sell their cars throughout the country, but they want their dealers to be trained in a standard manner. And for that, what they used to do is they used to call these dealer technicians and service center technicians to their central training centers for a 6 to 8 weeks long training program. And then there used to be representatives who used to come from across the country, and it was a huge expense which they have to do. But then we implemented this virtual reality based training, and all these training dealer centers and dealer service centers, they adopted this through VR, through mobile phones and so on, and then they were able to standardize their trainings, and a lot of cost reduction happened. And at the same time, the time duration, say for example a new car vehicle is or a variant is launched, and it is responsibility of these manufacturers, automotive manufacturers, to get the service center technicians trained at the earliest. And that also became very quick because it was just matter of updating the app quickly, and new content and new training is there, and they can start training on it. So this is a classic use case. Thanks for sharing it.
Thank you.
Yep. So anyone else would like to explain their use case?
Hi. I really simple one. This is the school chemistry one. Really easy one.
Correct.
So the value proposition here is declining student scores. Maybe that's not happening in India because India is like growing like a rocket ship right now. But in other parts of the world, I'm in Barbados, I'm in the Caribbean, and we have lots and lots of students that are not doing as well in some of these subject areas. But the very same students are having a blast of a time. They're always on virtual reality games and that kind of stuff, So it just seems like a perfect fit, that because I was just asking my son here just to test it out. What if we can use, and I did all three: AR, where you're in the lab and you're looking at the test tubes and all different things, and you're being guided through what to do and what scenarios. Or it could be MR, where you're not just getting information about what's in front of you, but you're actually having partial instructions as to theory and how it could actually mix together. And then total VR, where they're at home, or they could do a lot of pre-learning, a lot of pre-lab work, having a lot of creative scenarios, a lot of, with all the risk and the cost of the chemicals, the equipment, the time, the space, the scheduling, the appropriate teachers, facilities, and all those different things that schools really struggle with. Many of them do. But you can sort of expose them to all of that using VR, and then be able to top it up with in-classroom experiences, It asks them, would that be more interesting? And his face is kind of lit up, and he was like, yeah, that'll be a lot more fun,
Right. No, all great. So absolutely. So this is again one of the very interesting ways of making kids learn and understand. And also, if ever you get chance to have a look at the MetaQuest store, please do have a look at it. There might not be many educational games, but there are few educational games who cover a few topics in a very short manner. Say, for example, understanding the solar system. So that is a very interesting topic. So rather than making kids understand it in a form of diagrams in books or probably some YouTube videos or something. It's better that, they see the whole space around them. They understand the space or size of the Earth in comparison with the other planets and so on. So solar system is just one example, but there are quite a few such educational applications as well. But of course, the way you mentioned, an elaborate one where actual lab related trainings or actual lab related practicals which happen in schools, of course that can be really useful. And personally, I haven't seen something like that on the stores yet. So yeah.
And that's what baffles me, because it seems like such a perfect use case. It makes me wonder why not. It's an area that society is struggling with. It's easy use case compared to all the games we do. So I don't understand why it's not there. So it seems like a perfect opportunity to me.
Absolutely. And many countries, especially in the West, and especially in the the GCC region as well. Not just that, even many schools in India. So there are many premium institutes and premium schools which have now started leveraging virtual reality. Of course, they don't have elaborate syllabus on virtual reality, but then they use very short durations of sessions where they bring in kids and make them learn and understand leveraging virtual reality. And whatever things are available and possible, they try to educate them and give them this kind of an learning experience. So yes, so this is happening at a lot of schools as well now. Not just in schools, but even in universities. So where we are working with a lot of engineering universities, say engineering universities who are into petroleum engineering, or institutes who are into mining related engineering. So even those kinds of universities are leveraging virtual reality for educational purposes again. So yeah, so I'll stop sharing this. I think this was an interesting thing, and thanks for contributing over here. So what we'll do is we'll move to next part of the session and presentation. Okay, so after virtual reality, let's come to augmented reality and mixed reality. Again, the reason why I put augmented reality and mixed reality together is mixed reality is smart or intelligent version of augmented reality. So just like virtual reality had few criteria, so here are few criteria which can also make augmented reality applications successful and apt for that particular use case. So one of the criteria is hands-free or digital checklist or digitization of the checklist. Say imagine in manufacturing, or let's say once again, we can take the case of printers. So printers has physical manuals and so on. Or let's say if some person is doing inspection activity of printers even before they are getting shipped, so they might have certain checklist which they have to inspect at each and every point and perform that. So these kinds of checklists, these kinds of use cases can be digitized, and they can be done hands-free leveraging augmented reality and mixed reality. So these places where they are appearing in industry. So for example, maintenance, repair, assembly, operations, inspection, support, maintenance. So these places, augmented reality and mixed reality can be leveraged. So second is visual guidance. So imagine some complex piece of equipment needs to be assembled. And while assembling that piece of equipment, there are a lot of small components which you have to assemble. You also have to ensure the ratings of those equipments, their sub components and so on. So that is where visual guidance can be provided. Yes, now pick this particular piece of item and put it over here and so on. So and there can be an overlay for that particular guidance. So that is another criteria where mixed reality and augmented reality can be very, very useful. The third is there are a lot of tasks in the industrial setup which are complex as well as a lot or error prone. So I'm sure you all might have experienced this, and a few of you all might also be aware of this. In the whole production process, there might be a lot of places where there are no errors. It's pretty easy and pretty straightforward. So for all the processes, you don't need augmented reality application. But there might be few places where maximum error happens because of a number of different reasons, because of complexities or because of shorter duration of time or things like that. So those are the places where augmented reality, mixed reality can be used to detect these errors or guide the person so that the person minimizes those errors considerably. So that is another criteria. The fourth criteria is remote help and supervision. So imagine once again, there is a piece of equipment, say, for example, some engine, very sophisticated engine. Now there is a technician locally available who is a junior technician, but he is there to do some regular maintenance activities only. He doesn't know or doesn't have any in-depth knowledge of, troubleshooting very, critical fault which has happened. So now, in order to troubleshoot that, you have to call some senior technician or senior engineer from, far off. And it involves a lot of time and cost as well. So now imagine a junior technician, he himself wearing some VR headsets or mixed reality headsets and AR glasses or some AR based application on the phone, and then a senior technician or senior engineer guides him remotely to perform that activity. Yes, now check so and so, open this particular piece of equipment, and so those kind of things again in augmented reality. So that might help the junior technician himself to do the troubleshooting of this particular equipment, and it will again save a lot of time and cost. So that is another one of the criterias where, or use cases where augmented reality and mixed reality can be very effective. The fourth criteria is equipments or operations which involve risk or are very costly. So for example, say for example, you are maintaining or doing some operations on high voltage machines or high voltage electrical panels, and then even if you do some small connections here and there which could lead to some major accidents. So those kind of things can be easily detected in advance by augmented reality and AI based intelligent applications, so that even before the person is trying to do those kind of critical activities, the person is provided an alert couple of times, which will make the person more attentive, which will make the technician think twice and do it in a correct manner rather than doing it carelessly and so on. So these are few criterias where augmented reality and mixed reality can be very, very useful and effective. So I'll try to show you all a few use cases. So let's take an use case of inspection and maintenance. So we have worked with one of the large automotive manufacturing companies, and automotive companies, they typically have huge assembly lines, and they have robots as well for their production and assembling activities. So but there is a lot of inspection activity which needs to be performed. So what we did is we completely digitized those activities through augmented reality and mixed reality application. So traditionally they used pen paper based checklists for documenting all these inspection activities. They did not adhere to the SOPs which needs to be followed for inspection. Say let's say step number 1 has to be performed first, but they did not follow it. They performed step number 3 first because that piece of equipment is right next to you, and then they perform step number 1 or things like that. A lot of other such things. Not just that, since this was not digitized completely, a lot of other factors which they could not get insights about were missing. So there were a lot of things, there were a lot of such problems. So what we did is we built this solution for them, wherein the technician can use these kinds of smart glasses or phone-based application while doing the inspection activity. The application keeps narrating the steps which needs to be performed. The technicians, they will perform those steps. They can also take issues in form of logs, in form of visuals, videos. They can also take audio notes of what faults they have identified and so on. So previously they just had to do tick or a cross and a small comment which they had to put. They could not put it in elaborate what the issue is and so on. Now all those things which they used to perform previously, so all the checklists which they used to do, they used to then go and digitize it on their computers. Say for example, a technician in a single day had to inspect 4 different machines. After doing inspection of 4 machines, the next day they had to completely dedicate it for digitizing it in form of Excels and so on. So but over here what happened is, since everything is taken in form of digital logs now, they just had to connect the device to computers and one click publish, where the whole report is generated, and the report can be integrated with the QMS directly. Additionally, it had a lot of rich logs in form of visuals, in form of audios, in form of videos, which also helped the further maintenance engineers and other technicians to take the action in much better manner. So these were few advantages, and this was one of the use case which we had implemented for an automotive company. So again, few advantages: digitization of SOPs, which helped in reducing the time. It also helped in reducing errors, because while doing checks previously, they did not adhere to SOPs, and that led to a lot of errors and back and forth and so on. So it also saved a lot of time of people which went into digitization of the reports and so on. Also, the whole application was hands-free, so people, the technicians, could do it pretty quickly, easily, without any intervention where they had to take out their phones and interact with it again and again and for each and every step. So yeah, so this was one of the use case. The second use case which we have worked on is for data centers. So again, if you see data centers, there are a lot of problems again in data centers. While you are doing maintenance of data centers, you have to carry these kinds of laptops along with you. You have to find the servers, the racks. Once you find a particular server, you have to connect it with wires and so on to check the health of those servers and racks and so on. And this is something a data center of a large company, a pretty organized company, but let's say small companies, small data centers have something like this. So it's all messy and so on. So what we did is we built this kind of a phone-based application which guides the technician to, racks. It also shows, different parameters and information needed right there and there. You don't need to connect any additional computers and wait for viewing those information and so on. And not just that, it also showed a lot of additional information like where are the cooling lines, where are the electrical, not electrical, where are the connections from the servers to the hub. Let's say if they want to check connections, they want to reach to the hub to which it is connected, where the server is connected, and so on. A lot of things, those things, it helped and help reduce the problems or the time which they spent in performing these in resolving these tickets basically. So again, so let's skip this particular part now. So these are few other use cases which we worked on. Say, for example, VR is again used for physiotherapy purposes. We have worked a lot with oil and gas organizations for different kinds of training from different departments, be it electrical, mechanical, instrumentation, and so on. So large aerospace engineering companies are leveraging augmented reality for assembling and production related activities. So onboarding solutions, which we already saw, which is being used. So these are few other use cases where it is used for remote assistance or remote monitoring in a product testing facility. So yeah. And this is another use case where in the healthcare sector, so we are leveraging virtual reality to help autism kids get more familiar. So autism kids typically have this issue where so basically they don't have any issue, but for normal people they feel that is an issue. So typically when kids who are suffering from autism, they face problems. They are not able to make eye contact properly, or their body movements are very rigid or very jerky. They face problems in greeting strangers. So what we did is we built this VR application which puts kids suffering from autism on learning or understanding these aspects and appropriately changing their behavior or adapting to that particular situation, so that we normal people try to we normal people get more comfortable with them. So these are few applications which we have worked on and helped in different kinds of use cases. Okay, so like different industries, AI is now helped, or AI is now leveraged to improve effectiveness, bringing in efficiency in across different industries, be it IoT, be it media or anything. So it is also enhancing each and every technology by leaps and bounds. So similar is the case where AI is now being used, or AI is now helping enhance augmented reality and virtual reality solutions or experiences, and taking their effectiveness to a next level altogether. So be it natural language processing. So for example, initially when we used to put virtual reality, virtual avatars in AR or VR applications, those virtual avatars used to be very mundane. They were not smart, or they had very few basic animations or voice-based interactions. But now through AI-based NLP and AI-based chatbots, when integrated into these avatars, they are like talking as if it's very natural. It's very intuitive, and you can ask a lot of questions in a natural way, and the avatars will get you answers in a much more natural manner. So those kind of things actually took the experience of the virtual reality applications to a next level altogether. Same thing with augmented reality. So for example, initially there were augmented reality based applications which were used for industry purposes. Say for example, say which had to do with engine detection, engine assembly. So initially AR applications, since the image processing was not that strong and so on, and these image learning models had to be custom built. They were a lot error prone. But now with AI coming into picture and AI becoming intelligent, training those models of image recognition for these kinds of machines have become much, or let's say 10 times more accurate compared to previous models. So that is where AI is trying to, or AI has brought in the effectiveness and has taken up the experience to a new level, which ultimately is affecting the ROI which the AR and VR kinds of applications deliver. So what I'll do is I'll show you all a few videos once again, how we have leveraged AI in certain cases. So for example, in virtual reality training itself, we have integrated
with your voice by pressing and holding the center trackpad button.
What is the use of safety harness?
Safety harnesses are used to protect workers from falling when working at heights. They are designed to distribute the force of the fall throughout the body to prevent injuries. Harnesses are typically worn by individuals working on construction sites, window washing, roofing, and other elevated areas. By securing the worker to an anchor point, safety harnesses provide a crucial safety measure to reduce the risk of injury or death from fall.
So initially inputting text, imagine you wanted to ask this question, you had to input text. And to input text, it was really difficult in the virtual reality environment through controllers and so on, because you did not have physical keyboards. Virtual keyboards are there, but they are not so easy to use. But with the AI coming in, with NLP becoming so fluent, it's very easy to incorporate these kind of features and these kinds of interactions now. Not just this is just very basic, but a lot richer interaction in terms of virtual avatars, and NLP can be leveraged in the VR environment. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to share few technical things like different kinds of platforms which can be used for developing these kinds of virtual reality and augmented reality applications and then experiences. So Unity 3D. So there are basically three kinds of platform which can be used. So first platform is developing the core immersive tech solution or AR/VR solution. Say for example Unity, Unreal. You can also leverage ARKit, ARCore, or PTC, Vuforia. Meta has their own toolkit. Apple has spatial computing toolkit. So these are tools and these are platforms which are used for development of the core applications for virtual reality and augmented reality. But as you all might have seen, content, 3D content especially. So virtual reality and augmented reality has a lot of 3D. So 2D elements are there, but actual king is the 3D content. So there are tools like these are like conventional tools and softwares which can be leveraged for designing and developing the content. So for example, Max, Maya, AutoCAD, Substance Painter, and so on. And then there are very different kinds of tools like AI frameworks which can be leveraged for integrating into these AR/VR applications and to make AR/VR applications much more intelligent and much more user friendly as well as effective. So for example, TensorFlow, OpenCV, which is computer vision related features and so on. And there are a lot of specific SDKs as well. So for example, Microsoft also has a Microsoft Mixed Reality Toolkit. NVIDIA has their own AI SDKs which can be integrated with AR/VR applications. And then NVIDIA also has a complete suite of something called as Omniverse, which is used for very core industrial applications into digital twins and so on. So yeah. So just as a closing note, I would like to show you all this image. This is an image which I had found in 2019, 20 sometime. And this visual was created by somebody from Qualcomm and they had published it. So it actually shows the future XR or immersive technology device, or probably this could be something, the future computing device, which we might be using few years from now. So it is, as light as spectacles. It has got, very high end cameras. It has got a very high computing capabilities into it so that, AI based computing can be done in a pretty quick and, easy manner. So it also has a lot of different sensors, like it records your health related sensors. Haptics is included in it. It has got, interesting digital different directional speakers and so on. And also it has a very high connectivity, maybe 6G or something, so that all the 3D kind of content can be easily rendered and so on. So, and most importantly, optics and vision or projection is something very, very critical. So very miniaturized version of, projectors, which can project a very high resolution kind of content onto these spectacles. So this is something which they foresee, maybe somewhere 5-6 years down the line, people would start using, and this probably could become a new way of computing. So and if you all see, since last 2 years, Meta and Google and a lot of other such big OEMs have started to come up with their AI smart glasses, which are almost on similar lines, except the projection capabilities, which I'm sure all of these big OEMs might be working on, and they might solve it in the coming years from now. So yeah, I thought of sharing this. And yes, Queen, you have some question.
Yes. Sorry, what is SDKs again, Professor?
SDK is a software development kit. So it is typically
software development kits.
Yes. So these are like provided by different software players for making the development easier.
And also, sorry, could you please show me the slide before this? It was quick enough that I wasn't able to look at.
Okay. So yeah, so it's somewhat explains this particular slide only. So what could be the new what could be the future of AR, VR? How would they be powered? So, for example, AI and ML would definitely be something on which, these devices will have much more power, like, natural user interactions. So people will be able to use it with their gestures very easily. There might also be features like you might be able to do some small controls using your brains directly. So brain user interface is now, picking up as well. A lot of advanced image processing might happen. So, for example, you will be able to recognize different objects around. It might recognize different products. It might recognize fruits. It might give its calorific values and all those kind of things. So that's all this slide was about, which in some ways covered in this visual. Okay, so
Question.
yes, Alfred, please.
So earlier on, you showed us a demo for the onboarding scenarios, particularly the one where the person had to find their seat, right? So find a office, find, and then find your seat, That rose a question to me, are we at the stage today where you can personalize the experience so that your seat will be different for every trainee, I know it's just a random example, but it's the principle I'm getting at, the ability to personalize these VR experiences.
Yes, of course, Albert. So it is absolutely, personalizable. In fact, it would be interesting, I would like to share. So we are building some VR experiences where the avatar who comes to, guide you in the VR experience, you can actually personalize that. So let's say you want Iron Man to be your narrator, you just, type in or say, I want Iron Man to help me, do this particular experience or in this particular section. So, and then the avatar converts himself to Iron Man along with the voice modulation and everything. And then, I am doing or I'm playing that game along with Iron Man. But let's say next one, I want Captain America. So we can do that. So there are a lot of such, customizations and personalizations now possible. And AI also has a lot to contribute for these kind of things.
One other related question. So that's personalizing the pre-built experience. What about onboarding new scenarios? Because, for example, in one of the videos, try to remember which one it was, but okay, it was the one where you were dealing with mortgages, and you had to go to the client to tell them that there was a problem, the problem with the mortgage, right? I was wondering if there was a way to close the loop on the scenarios themselves. So, for example, I'm sure now if there was a new scenario, they would need to engage you to help build or simulate a new scenario. But I'm wondering, is there a use case where folks are closing the loop where you can actually capture scenarios from like a storefront and actually build some of those scenarios directly into the solution? So the closing the loop, having AI capture it and just human in the loop to verify it, but then have that then go back in and help update the VR solution. It might be used for security checks, security scenarios, I can think of all sorts of different things. I'm just using that just to paint the picture.
Correct. So Alfred, see, basically, this can be done in two ways. So one is definitely, so we can build a platform in such a way that these kinds of new scenarios, which can be added or in the runtime or dynamically on the need basis. So doing this is totally possible. It would need a little bit of intensive development effort for developing the whole platform and providing these capabilities. That is one. The second is, of course, the smaller things we can easily, modify. So there are a lot of things like, the whole SOP stays the same, but few steps of the SOP gets changed. So we can easily provide these capabilities to quickly modify those particular steps and do these modifications. So yes, it is possible. It depends on how it has to be planned and built. Okay, so we are almost nearing our time. So I'll just share my coordinates with you guys. In case if you all have any questions, queries, or anything, feel free to reach out to me. So I'll just paste my email ID and my LinkedIn link in the chat bot. So you all can have a look at it and access it. Also, it would be interesting for you all to try out few things. So what I've done is I have pasted few links where you all can yourself try out few VR based experiences. Of course, these are not for web, but you all can try it out on your computers. And there are a lot of informative videos as well, which we have created and collated, which can help you get more understanding about these technologies and its application in different kinds of industries for different kinds of use cases. So I pasted that as well, and you all can try it out and check it out based on your comfort.
Thank you.
So yes, thanks everyone. Thanks a lot for being so engaging and contributing in the session. It was my pleasure having this session with you guys. I hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Feel free to
Very
reach out
nice.
anything if there is anything I can help with.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good night and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.